Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
You know, they say when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. For me, it was more like a slideshow of things I thought I'd never get to do. My medic, Dan Smee, his version of the story was different than mine. He had carried with him that because I almost died, that he didn't do his job. Had Wounded Warrior Project not been in both of our lives, I'm petrified to know what my life would be like, or Dan's, if either one of us would still be here. I'm just so grateful that we both are.
The work of Wounded Warrior featured there. If you'd like to donate, if you need help, certainly, or a loved one needs help, you can get that at woundedwarriorproject.org. It's a .org, so that's where you need to go. And Opry Live, of course, the weekend shows, you see them on Circle Country, always sponsored by the Wounded Warrior Project. Again, woundedwarriorproject.org. Amber Anderson, what are you working on over there?
Well, we've got Sabrina Carpenter coming in to make her Grand Ole Opry debut. She's a 2-time Grammy Award-winning, record-breaking global superstar. And I know so many people were so excited about having her take the Opry stage.
You know how you sometimes just miss, and you're so close, but you miss?
Mm-hmm.
So Renee and I went to New Orleans to see the Eras Tour.
Okay.
3 nights at the Superdome. We were there night 1. Sabrina Carpenter is the surprise guest at night 2.
Of course.
So now she will be at the Grand Ole Opry on October 7th. Charlie Matos working the Grand Ole Opry October 8th.
Oh.
So apparently I'm just 24 hours. There must be some sort of a restraining order or something
Just two ships.
that 24 hours has to pass.
I think her security team has got stranger danger over Charlie Matos' picture.
2 ships
that's
passing
funny.
in the night.
Yes.
But I got many texts when that was announced.
I'm sure everyone is so excited. She just released her latest album, Man's Best Friend. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Within its first week, the album got over 180 million streams, making it the biggest debut of the year by a female artist. So quite the feat. Everyone, Sabrina is having a moment right now, and it's going to be really excited to welcome her in to make her Grand Ole Opry debut on October 7th and keep these Opry 100 celebrations going. Very, very excited. I love when things like this happen. Just building a bigger table. I love it. Also confirmed that night are Opry Next Stage artists Caitlin Butts, Lacey K. Booth, and Cameron Marlowe. More to be announced, so go get your tickets.
You know, you were talking about the Eras Tour. She's a Pennsylvania girl, too, I think. Like
Sabrina?
Like Taylor is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Big congratulations to our guy, Jake Owen. He is celebrating 4 years of sobriety. Such a huge milestone. And he took to social media to commemorate this milestone. He shared a heartfelt post that reads a lot like poetry. Although when I saw it, I was like, is this a song? Because it said 4 years and then kind of is written like song lyrics. So got to keep an eye out. Maybe he's going to turn that into a song. But the words really reflect on the choice that he made 4 years ago. And he's hoping he just inspires others on their own path to sobriety. So
Kobe Keith beat him to it. You ain't much fun since I quit drinking.
That's right. Well, at the end of the post, he stated, "Love y'all. Here's to 4 years of the best decision I ever made in my life. For a guy that can be pretty hard on himself, I got to say, I'm proud of me."
Oh, good for him.
That's so good.
A lot of folks are doing that and improving their lives a little bit, you know?
Right. I know John Party was sober. He came and told us on our podcast, and we were like, what?
Yeah. Ashley McBride.
That's right.
Yeah.
Charles Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Smith. I mean, he's gone through like an incredible physical transformation, giving up the alcohol. I mean, he's almost not the same guy when you look at him.
It's quite the feat. Like we always talk about, country is just so much. It's so much about community, touring, being on the road, grabbing a drink. Obviously, we sing about it a lot in our songs. So hats off to you, Jake. I know that he's making these decisions for his family and himself, and we are so happy. And he's got a new album coming, Dreams to Dream. Project's going to drop November 7th. Really looking forward to that. And you guys, I'm going to be in Arizona in February because there's a new festival that combines baseball and country music.
Because that's when the very beginning of spring training
That's
will be.
right.
Pitchers and catchers report in February.
Just the most beautiful words spoken. Pitchers and catchers report. I love it. But we've got Luke Bryan and Dierks Bentley headlining the first night of the Extra Innings Festival on February 27th. It's going to be at Tempe Beach Park and Arts Park. They're going to be bringing along brothers Osborne, Brett Michaels, and more. They're going to take the stage Saturday. Kane Brown, Hardy, Shabuzi, and Jesse Murph. So talk about a party in the desert. Yeah. I want to be there. And then there's also going to be some baseball programming, which is even better, Off the Mound with Ryan Dempster, and an all-star baseball jam that's going to be hosted by Jake Peavy. Random, but fun. Sign me up. I want to be there. I've already called some friends, being like, we've had Arizona spring training on our list for a while because obviously living in Florida, we bounced around
all
Central Florida to every spring training park. So very excited to add Arizona to my list.
And Tempe is just suburban Phoenix. So it's where Arizona State is. No, I'm saying, but if you're flying, you fly into Phoenix.
Like Tempe looks at downtown Phoenix. Yeah. So real close by.
And I wanted to mention the passing on Friday of Sonny Curtis, in case somebody in our audience hasn't heard this. He was the last of as the headline said, the good old boys had made some noise from Lubbock, Texas. He was 88 years old and just an extraordinary career with Buddy Holly and the Crickets. He wrote Walk Right Back for the Everly Brothers. The Bobby Fuller Fours, I Fought the Law, which I think the Clash, Tom Petty, Springsteen, a bunch of people have covered that. And he wrote I'm No Stranger to the Rain for Keith Whitley, who was on his catalog. But the most famous thing he wrote was the Mary Tyler Moore theme.
Oh, yeah.
That's a classic.
Isn't it? Yeah, but do yourself a favor. If you want to see a career, especially as you maybe you're struggling in Nashville as a singer-songwriter, you follow the Sonny Curtis story, and that'll give you inspiration. And you heard it here on Coffee, Country, and Cody with Amber Anderson, Billy Boy, Charlie Mattos, Andy Nye, Jeff Roberts, and Tyler Reese Tritt's coming to see us here in studio in just a little bit.
From WSM Radio, this is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Very excited to look across this table in our over the weekend, our newly redesigned Acuff House studio in the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. And so it's a christening for you. Tyler Reese Tritt is here.
Welcome
in. To come to the new studio. Yeah. I'm like, I must be special or something. Okay.
Paint's not even dry yet.
I know. That's what I heard. I was like, I knew I came in. I was getting high on some fumes. I was like, all right, must be that paint.
Well, thanks for getting up early and coming in.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
I have a history with your father that goes back to before the beginning. We were talking about that off the air, and I'm so fond of your dad.
He is so fond of you.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, great.
He told me a million times. He's like, you tell Cody how much I love him, and you just tell him he's the best. And I was like, oh, I'll tell him.
I remember him with Rick Baumgartner on a Warner Brothers tour. They brought him to the when you do a radio tour, you get to play these glamour destinations like the break room at the radio station.
Oh, I love it.
Or the conference room, in his case. And he was playing a 12-string guitar. And he sat down and just played us a few songs. And I remember vividly saying, your rocket ship's getting ready to launch. And I mean, in no time, Country Club came out, and it was on. I mean, he never looked back. And, at that time was the hottest thing in country music. I mean, he was everywhere.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
And the first time we ever would have heard you sing was with your dad. Back in the day, Patti Smythe, who I just still have a crush on to this day, although John McEnroe got her first. But
if only she'd known.
Yeah,
if only she'd known you first.
I like to think so.
Yeah,
Thank you. But Patti Smythe from Scandal and Don Henley had a huge hit with a duet, and you and your dad did such a beautiful version of it.
Thank you.
And I just remember telling him how great you sounded on it, and it was the best compliment I could have given him in the world, I think. Right?
That is yes. He's always been. I will never forget the first time we actually went and performed that song. It was the first time I'd ever, I was 14 years old.
Sometimes love
just ain't enough. Yes. So I decided, I was going to go in the studio, do this song with him. Well, he really decided. And that's when I decided this is what I want to do for a living. And the first show we did was in Dublin, Virginia. And I was so nervous. I got up on that stage. I was holding the mic. The mic was shaking. My legs were shaking. And, it was such a surreal experience. But after I was done, I'm proud of myself. I'm like, I just got up there and performed in front of God knows how many people at this festival. And I look over, Dad's crying, the band's crying, and I'm like, did I suck that bad? Was it that bad? I'm like, was it good, better in my head? And no, Dad was just proud. That's all it was. Him and most of his band members I've known since I was, knee high to a grasshopper. So they were all crying like proud dads. And I was like, oh my gosh. So of course I'm a sympathetic crier. So I started crying. And so it was a very fun experience.
It's like the yawn going around.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yawn, crying, any of it. I'm like, if I see you do it, I'm going to do it too. So stay away.
Did you know, like, I can sing? Or were you just like, I'm doing this with my dad for fun?
It was a little bit of both. I had gone around singing since what my parents say, the time I could walk. And
I saw somewhere they said 3 years old.
Yes,
or something.
3 years old. I would be going around because my favorite Disney princess, even to this day, is Ariel, Little Mermaid. So I'd be going around singing Part of Your World, and Dad's like, singing, you were screaming it. But, the older I got, it became singing, and I'd always do it. And I just remember even young, being side stage and watching Dad, we'd be running around doing what kids do, playing. But then every now and again, I'd just stop and I'd just be watching and just hypnotized because he was having so much fun. And I'm like, this is your job. Like, you get to get up on stage and do this every single day and you're having a blast. And then when I got older, I was like, I really think this is what I want to do. And it wasn't actually until we got into that studio for the first time to record that duet, I very much debated if that was what I wanted to do, because that whole experience was just crazy. But
did you did a home studio, or did you come to Nashville?
No, we went to a studio in Atlanta, because Dad had already cut his part, so I just needed to cut mine. But he kept warning me, as dads do, you need to practice. You need to get yourself a mic, because I wasn't used to hearing my own voice in my in-ears. So of course I didn't listen. And we went into the studio, and there was one part. I mean, I nailed everything else, but there was just one part for the life of me I could not get. And the producer was like, we could just go in and hit one button and fix that in a minute. And Dad was like, oh no. He goes, I am not Pro Tooled. She will not be Pro Tooled. I was like, so Mom goes, bless your heart. She goes, you were just looking at me through the glass with your big old bush baby eyes, like, save me. I was watering. My nose was pink. And Dad, I remember, I will never forget when we left. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. If this is how the studio is, I absolutely hate this. This is terrible. And then to add insult to injury, we get in the car and Dad's like, you're reimbursing me for every dime you wasted today. And I was like, dang it. And I'm thinking, he's going to forget, he ain't going to remember that. No, he sure did. First check I got, he was like, thank you. I was like, good gravy. But it taught me a lesson, because now in the studio, I am in and out, baby. I am quick.
But he also, while supporting you, was somewhat hesitant because he knows how brutal the music business can be when you're first
he sure did.
started.
He told me no. He was like, absolutely not. And it took a lot of wearing him down for him to finally be like, all right, if this is what you're going to do, I'll help you. I'm not going to do everything for you. And, I can help you get certain, foots and doors. But he's like, I didn't have anyone help me. And he goes, and I appreciate it so much more because I worked for everything. I earned everything. And he goes, I want that for you. So, of course, if I have questions or, I need advice, I'll go to him and I'll ask him. But it's funny because I'll pull up to a show and everyone's like, well, where's your tour bus? I mean, I'm like, you mean my Enterprise minivan? Like, what you mean, where's my tour bus? I'm like, they're like, well, your dad didn't buy you. I'm like, my dad didn't get me nothing, y'all. He didn't get me nothing.
Is your mother, Teresa, is she a singer?
She, in her brain, she is. In her brain, she's Christina Aguilera. What you talking about? Oh, yeah, no, and it's funny, too, because before she would never want to sing. She'd kind of always just hum or, whatever to herself. Like, Dad was like, you're not even allowed to sing Happy Birthday. It's that bad. It's bad. She's a good dancer, but terrible singer. So, but now, I guess with, getting older, it's gone. She don't care no more. She's like, I'm going to sing, and she'll let it loose.
No fear factor.
She does not. She'll have a concert, and we're all just like, ooh. But she's having a good time. So you know what?
Almost.
It's close. No, there is sometimes I'll hear something, I'm like, Mama, that didn't sound half bad. And Dad will be like, stop encouraging her. Stop it.
Listen, I have found through experience through the years that if you're so off the melody, every once in a while you get perfect harmony. And that's what I meant to sing the harmony all along. I'm a harmony singer is what I am.
You know what?
So.
Look, that's how she's going to identify now. She's going to hear that and she's going to be like, harmony singer.
That's me.
I'm a harmony singer.
right.
My friend said her dad always said, it says make a joyful noise.
That's
Doesn't
right.
say it has to be on pitch.
That's right.
On key.
That's right.
It just has to be joyful.
Joy.
Amen.
That's
Joyful. I love that.
Hey, let's play Blood Money.
Yeah.
Tell us about this song. Original or no?
It is original. It was written by a whole bunch of, close friends of mine, Kinsey Kaplin, Lee Tucker, just a whole bunch of amazing songwriters. And I loved it when I first heard it because it told a story. It reminded me of Reba's Nights, the Lights Went Out in Georgia, and Fancy. And it's basically just a story about a family that, their granddaddy started dealing moonshine and, ran the streets and he had the sheriff on the payroll. The sheriff ended up dying. The new sheriff came in and he thought he was going to take over the business and quickly found out that was not going to be happening.
So this is where Copperhead Road meets Walking Tall.
Exactly. I love that. I'm using that.
Blood Money with Tyler Reese Tritt all over the world on WSM Radio, Circle Country Television.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
We continue from the Assembly Food Hall stage with Tyler Reese Tritt this morning. Blood Money. We played that just before the break. Live performance coming up here in a little bit. I want to read you a quote that was given to your father on your behalf, growing up in that shadow, if you will, early on in your life. When did you realize that he was somewhat different than your friends' dads as far as what he did for a living?
I think probably when he came to school to have lunch with me. And then I saw the kids were freaking out, the teachers were freaking out, and I was like, What's your problem? I'm like, it's just my dad. I'm like, what's the deal? And, they're asking for his autographs and for pictures and stuff. And I mean, I had seen it, all my life, but it was different. When you're in school and all my friends and everyone, they're all freaking out. I'm like, what's the deal? But I think that was probably the first time was when he came to the school.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I love that you asked that question because I always wonder that because we asked that question Thomas Rhett, do your girls understand what dad does? Because they're so young.
It takes a while.
But I'm like, has to be such a hard concept to grasp. He's just your dad.
Exactly. So, and the whole time you're on the road. You're on the road and you're going to shows and everything when you're little. You don't really put two and two together. You're like, oh, this is just his job. And then you go out in public or you go somewhere. I think we went to the zoo one time for my birthday too. And I was little. So I was getting so annoyed and so frustrated because I just wanted to look at the animals for my birthday and everyone was stopping him to take pictures and I'm pulling at him. I'm like, Dad, let's go. But I didn't understand, it wasn't clicking. And then when it did, I was like, okay. I was like, this makes sense.
And artists from the 90s, which he came along in 89, that class of 89, but when the 90s country explosion happened, there was something that happened with country music families that really hadn't happened prior. And that was the families got to travel. These guys were making enough money that the families could travel with them. So did you experience that?
We did.
Oh, good,
he
good.
was amazing enough to take off at least a year when he first found out that Mom was pregnant with me because he was like, I want to do the whole dad thing. He goes, I want to, watch you take your first steps, watch you say your first words. And I mean, once I got older, obviously we were in school and we had to do all that. But every now and again, he'd pull us out and we'd get to go on the road, meet. We had our little bunk beds on the bus. And it was me and my brothers and Mom and Dad. And we'd all just, he'd always make sure wherever we were, if there was some Disney World or something nearby, he'd set aside, a couple days or a day or two that we could all go and do something together as a family. So those were always really good memories.
So I'm curious, you grew up with everyone excited to see your dad. Who did you get to meet for the first time that you were excited to meet, on tour or at a show?
That is so tough. I think the first concert that I ever went to that wasn't Dad's and I was freaking out, I was so psyched, was the Hannah Montana concert.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was 12, 13. I was like, this is amazing. And
There's
that
a
was-
whole generation that says that exact same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I grew up on. So
Well, there were
Dad,
2 generations of the Cyrus virus.
Yes.
We had Dad first, and then along comes Miley, right?
Exactly. That's why I was like, Dad. And he was like, all right. I was like, so I had to go see me some Hannah Montana.
That is a very popular answer. You know, it's so funny. We went to see, who was it? Megan Maroney. She uses Best of Both Worlds as her like intro song.
Yes.
So it's like the lights drop and then that starts blaring and everybody's like jumping up and down. And it is, I'm like, this is like the sign of a generation.
That's our
This
childhood
is like
core memory.
core
Like,
memory.
Oh my gosh. 100%.
Yeah, the quote I was going to share a little earlier said that he told you, hype yourself up and psych yourself out before you go on stage. Tell yourself you are the best there is.
He sure does. And he's right.
Let's get a live performance, if you would. Introduce your guitarist and
Absolutely.
the song you're going to
This
sing
is my
for us.
guitarist, Mr. Curtis Leeser. And we will be performing my single called You Lost Me.
Reese Tritt on Coffee, Country, and Cody. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
But his talent knows no bounds. My goodness. He is playing the Bluebird tomorrow night. Oh, and he just finished a novel.
Casual.
Casual.
Music tour and a book tour. Who does that, Paul Burch?
There was a pandemic going on. I had to do something with my time.
Is that when you started this project?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Meridian Rising out now. It's the life of Jimmy Rogers was the inspiration. Fats Kaplin is along this morning. And
Hello, Fats.
He'll join us in a little bit. And he's produced your most recent work.
Yeah.
And along with Dennis Crouch.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the book first.
All right. Well, the book is an imagined memoir of Jimmy Rogers, as well as some recollections of people he knew. And I've been thinking about and writing about Jimmy for a long period of time. I think the last time I was on the show, I had a record of the same name that was kind of from the same point of view. And writing the songs was so much fun. But as often happens when you do something about a famous person, I started coming across all kinds of facts and things about him that I didn't know when I was writing the record. One is that he was friends with bluesman Howlin' Wolf. In fact, Howlin' Wolf used to take yodeling lessons from Jimmy, and but it turned into a howl. You know, ooh, that's Howlin' Wolf's version of Jimmy's yodel, and I just liked him. You know, he's kind of the town square where all musicians can meet. He was friends with Louis Armstrong. Robert Johnson was a fan. There's a lot of artists, you know, B.B. King, George Harrison, Sun Records founder Sam Phillips, who remember Jimmy's music being the first music they heard in their home. So he's a super interesting person, more modern than you'd think.
Yeah, and certainly at the birthplace of it all in Bristol.
Yeah,
is
right.
where
It's
he
coming
was
up.
featured. Yeah.
That's coming up. I don't know what they're planning, but they better plan something, because 100-year anniversaries don't come too often. They got one coming.
Yeah. I mean, I love basically writing music and then writing a story. It's like, is it easier to write in like a narrative way? I mean, it is like writing a song, because writing a song is telling a story. But doing two separate projects, I feel like there's challenge in that, and then there is probably some ease too.
It's mostly challenge, but thanks for trying to make me feel good.
Some would call it insanity.
Yeah, it was.
Like in my
I think that's
brain.
why a lot of writers, so Harper Lee only wrote To Kill a Mockingbird and then she quit. That's the way to go, really. Because if you keep it up any longer, you're gonna go cuckoo.
Yeah, just write one song, White Christmas.
There you go. Hey, write that down. But you're absolutely right. It's the nice thing about songs is that I can, the first thing I can't wait to do after I've finished an idea, or to have no idea at all, is to bring my favorite musicians over to a rehearsal or a recording studio. And musicians can make a terrible racket and sound horrible, but think, oh, that was really good rehearsal, And writing a narrative or writing a book, it's not only do you have to go back and read it again and try to remember what you were thinking, but you also have to copy it, periods and question marks and things like that, just to make it readable to yourself. And no one really wants to read your book until it's out, you know. With music, you can put on a track that's not really done and have it on the background during dinner, you know, and everyone goes, oh, it sounds good, you know, but you can't really do that with a book. So
I'm curious, as you think back to Woody Guthrie, who had a bunch of unfinished lyrics.
Right.
And Del McCoury came along and finished up some of those and did an tribute album a while back.
That's right.
Were there any Jimmy Rogers songs along the way that were partials that you've stumbled across?
No, that's a great question. I haven't found any. I think he was a very creative person and a writer, but I don't think he was a writer like Woody. I think he also was, Jimmy was really sick with tuberculosis.
Oh, yeah.
Just before he had his first recording session in Bristol. So so he was losing his life as he was gaining it, sort of,
Wow.
Getting what
How
he
old
wanted.
was he when he passed? I can't remember.
He was 35, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there might be, but I don't think he was that kind of writer, say, like Loretta Lynn or Dolly Parton. They've got songs sort of spilling out of their pockets. I don't think he was that kind of a writer, but he was a creative person, though, definitely.
The time period when A.P. Carter was going around the mountains of Appalachia looking for songs.
Right.
I just find that fascinating in that period of time. Just travel was difficult enough.
Right.
If you stayed close to home.
Right.
But
And
much
tape
less
recorders
travel.
were much heavier then. No, I mean, you had to, you're right. And A.P. Carter had a partner for some of that to try to remember the melodies and things. Jimmy's a fascinating guy. He was much more modern, as I said. I mean, he had a lot of bling with him. He was he had a custom guitar, a custom suit, custom car,
Sharp dressed
custom
man.
everything.
Yeah.
He was sharp dressed man. Yeah.
I remember asking Leroy Parnell. We did an interview at Hall of Fame in the Precious Jewels exhibit, and the first guitar on display is Jimmy Rogers' guitar, and then Lester Flatt and Johnny Cash and Bill Monroe's mandolin, and it's just full of these wonderful artifacts. And I asked Leroy, I said, of all these, if you could just pick one, which one would it be? And he went immediately to Jimmy Rogers' guitar and says, this is where it all started.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I did find some correspondence from people who knew Jimmy and played with him, who were writing to the head of his fan club which was based in Lubbock, Texas in the 40s and 50s. That's how Ernest Tubb got really involved in the Jimmy Rogers fan club. But people who played with him said that the old guitar that he used in Bristol, that's at the Country Music Hall of Fame, that is a great sounding guitar. That the famous one that has his name on it, he really used that for pictures. But all of his sessions were the one with that's in the Country Music Hall of Fame. They said that one could blow out a match at like 20 feet. It was just really loud.
What a great description.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Paul Burch is here. Fats Kaplin along this morning at the Bluebird Cafe tomorrow night. New novel, Meridian Rising, is out now, inspired by the life of Jimmy Rogers, whom we've been speaking of. And then the new album, Cry Love, is coming in October.
Yeah,
so
October
that
10th.
Won't be long. And Fats and Dennis Crouch co-produced this project.
Yes.
Right?
We've produced a lot of records together. Fats and I have played for 25 years, something like that. And Dennis and I have played since 1997.
Fats has just worked
a long time ago.
Fats has just worked with some of my favorite people on the planet. I mean, people like Jack White, Trisha Yearwood, but John Prine certainly comes to mind. Nancy Griffith.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you either you've got wonderful taste, or they have wonderful taste, or both is the correct answer to that question. So,
been very fortunate.
yeah.
Yes, when we come back, I have found online 5 things you didn't know about Fats Kaplin that are unbelievable.
Wow. We'll see how many Fats Kaplin knows to see if they're true, right? Yeah.
We can fact check.
Yeah. Well, the beauty, though, of writing a novel, too, I mean, a song is, it's not really constricted by 3, 4, and 5 minutes. I mean, you could do Dylan's Sad-Eyed Lady and go almost 12, right? But for the most part, there is the structure of a song. With a book, if you want to go 180 or 220 or, Stephen King and do 720 pages, I mean, we just keep printing paper, right? So how do you know when it's over?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things that was most fun, I had all the difficulties that anybody who tries to write a short story or book does, but it was nice to get away. Something about narrative songwriting makes me feel like I'm flying because I'm not aware of the constraints. Like, I love the constraints. Mm-hmm. Hank Williams, Doc Pomus, Mort Schumann, all the classic songwriters. I love those constraints, but to write without those is really fun. Yeah. But when I'm done, well, I had the first thing that came to me was the first chapter and the very last page of the book, and so I thought, well, I've got to figure out how to fill this in. If it hadn't come that, I may not have actually tried to do it. But I thought, well, I know how it should begin, I know how it should end, and so I guess I better try to figure out what goes in the middle. And I just tried to keep it short, like Spinal Tap 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Meridian Rising is available wherever you get your books, online, bookstores, everywhere. Are you doing any signings here in town that you wanted to probe?
Thanks for asking. Just did one at the Country Music Hall of Fame, but I would love to. But I will be at the Southern Festival of Books in October. Right. So there will be some opportunities there, and so come on out to that. Yeah.
And the musical opportunity, the next one is tomorrow night. Paul will be at the. You with him, Cap?
No.
I'm with Will Kimbrough.
Oh yeah.
And Emily Clement and Kevin Gordon.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lovely collection of us.
So let's go to One If by Land. Give us a setup on that. We'll feature
One If by Land was it's from the new record, and it was a song that came pretty quick to me, sort of written over the pandemic, as a lot of these songs did. We tend to record live without headphones, very close together, and this record, all of it really came together. Everything is like one or two takes, which is our favorite way of working.
Kind of the old RCA Studio B routine,
right. If everybody can't remember how they messed up, then it's probably the take.
Paul Burch, Fats Kaplin on Coffee, Country, and Cody. Good morning.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
And from our historic Acuff House studio, the Simply Superior Acuff House studio, sitting here on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza, I'm curious, Paul Burch, Fats Kaplin, were either one of you here when Mr. Acuff was around at all? He lived here until 92 when he passed.
I moved here just after he passed. I moved here in 94.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I moved in 92. So
oh, did you? Yeah. Yeah. Well, David Corlew with Charlie Daniels was remarking how they would come over on Opry performance nights and have Crown and Cranberry. Apparently, that was a cocktail Mr. Acuff was most fond of.
Which sounds like an awful combination to me. It does not sound like a combination that would go well.
Listen, if you want straight whiskey, little Jimmy Dickens was your man.
Right.
Out behind the barn. Let's meet there. Yeah, that's right.
But Bluebird Cafe tomorrow night, and then Meridian Rising is Paul's new novel inspired by the life of Jimmy Rogers. So give us a little, we started, you said during the pandemic, you had the beginning, you had the end, you had to fill it in, but give us a little overview of the book and what we'll find inside.
Sure. In the world of music history, Jimmy Rogers' last trip to New York City is kind of famous because he recorded a lot of his most outstanding songs at that last session, and he died the day after his session. So this story is him sort of telling his life story in an imagined memoir, and then every other chapter is a kind of mysterious figure who's revealed at the end, who's interviewing people from Jimmy's life. So we meet Jimmy's wife, Carrie, we meet his producer, we meet musicians that he played with, and the reason why I did that is because I thought, well, I'm not used to writing a long narrative novel, but these people are really interesting to me because I'm both a musician and interested in the technology and the times and the history, and so it gave me an opportunity to just speak in these voices without a whole lot of action. And so I was kind of teaching myself to write as I was writing it. And it also allowed me to use, the research that I had done. The Country Music Hall of Fame has a fantastic collection of Jimmy's artifacts and letters and letters from people who knew him, and so it gave me an opportunity to use this stuff and weave it into a story without being kind of heavy-handed. And but that's what it's about, his life, and it was inspired actually. Carrie Rogers, his wife, wrote a biography of Jimmy. I think it's the first country music biography that she wrote a few years after he died, and it's in print through the Country Music Hall of Fame. And she actually mentions that someone had asked him to write his life story, and she didn't know if he had ever started it. And so that kind of gave me an idea. And the other thing is that gave me an idea was years and years ago, I was kind of backstage at the Tennessee State Museum when Marty Stewart was showing off his collection of things, and I knew that there was a Jimmy Rogers briefcase.
I was there. I remember.
Yes, that's right. And I know some people who work with Marty, and so I was just politely asking, hey, I have a question about that briefcase. And I finally got through to someone. I said, what was in that briefcase? And they said, nothing but dust. And I don't know if that's true or not, but when they gave that to me, I just thought, all right, I've got a story now. So,
So when do you and Fats meet and become collaborators?
ooh, we were trying to figure that out. We met in the late 90s.
Mid-late night, maybe, because I knew of you.
Yes,
Knew
and
of you.
I played quite a bit as a drummer and sometimes a guitar player with Christy Rose, Fats Kaplan's wife, wonderful, incredible singer. And then we did a show together in Ireland, in Kilkenny, Ireland, with Jason Ringenberg of Jason and the Scorchers.
Oh, yeah.
And we played a kind of early alt-country Americana fest.
Right.
And
I was the band.
yes, you were the band. You were the band for everybody,
everyone.
really. Right. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the band. And we've been fast friends ever since. Made a lot of records and played a lot of shows that emptied our pockets instead of filled them, and here we are.
That's true. I've played with a lot of people in Nashville touring and all that, but I always say I've played the most shows with Paul Burch.
And made the least money.
I wasn't going to go into that.
All right, five things the scene did an article on you. 5 things you didn't know about Fats Kaplin. You remember this?
Here we go.
He is a magician,
True.
a ranked chess player,
Yes.
does not know how many instruments he plays.
True.
Plays a Turkish instrument called a baglama. Did I get it
Yeah.
right?
But actually, pronounced in Turkish, it would be balama.
Balama, okay.
Yeah.
And you've only had one other job other than music, and that was
That's true.
Vegas. You were
I was the only other job I've ever had other than music. The only one where I actually got a paycheck and stuff like that was in the 1970s. I was a craps croupier in downtown Las Vegas.
That would have been old Vegas.
Yeah.
It was old.
Which location would we have found you?
We would have found me at the Four Queens.
Appearing nightly.
Book number 2. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, Nate Bargatze is now probably the hottest comedian in the world, and his dad famously is a magician who still will open some shows for Nate. Have you ever run across Nate's dad?
No,
No?
I actually haven't heard the. I've heard the name, but no,
Yeah.
not that. It was. I had an uncle who was very influential to me, and he was a amateur magician, but he's also played banjo in the style of Pete Seeger, which is why I started playing banjo.
Oh wow! How
Yeah.
wild is that? Yeah. Well, Houdini back in the day played the Ryman in the early teens. I just would have loved to take a time capsule back to that.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
So how did the WPA Ball Club get its name? What's the backstory on that?
I needed a name, and I'll tell you what happened is that there was I was listening to I loved a lot of music from that time of all styles, but at that time when I moved to Nashville and I was starting to get the band together, Bill Monroe was still alive, and he was doing a lot of interviews, and often John Hartford would come with him, and they would talk about. John Hartford would ask sort of the same questions, like how did bluegrass start, what's the idea of it, and Bill Monroe would say, well, it's I come up with something and I toss it to the banjo player and banjo fiddle, to the fiddle player, and John Hartford would say, well, it's kind of like baseball, isn't it, Bill? And for some reason, that would set off Bill, and he'd go, that old Scruggs, he couldn't play second base for nothing, but he was a fine banjo player. And so it just made me laugh every time they did it, because it was almost like he was setting him up, and every time he would start talking about former bluegrass boys, and how Reno Smiley was a much better shortstop than so-and-so.
Well, they famously toured when they would play.
Yeah.
They would tour playing baseball.
Right.
This was not softball.
Right.
This was baseball.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, there's everything but a WPA ball club. So that was, and my middle name is William, and I was often in bands with more than one Paul, and so people would call me Willie or Willie Paul or WP, and so kind of a combination of those two things.
All right. What you gonna play and sing for us live?
We're going to play and sing a song from the new record called Cry Love.
Love it, love it, love it.
So good.
Amber.
Oh, so
Thank you
good.
very much. Thank you, Fat Man.
Yeah, we got
pleasure.
Paul Burch, Fats Kaplin in the studio. This
Sounded
morning.
just like us.
And
You know, my nickname as a child was BFC, Big Fat Chuck, but your Fat Man seems much kinder than how my friends
Really?
intended my nickname as a child.
Wow. Radio reveals all.
Right?
That's so interesting. I told you we'd learn something.
by the way, great Bill Monroe imitation a little bit earlier.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciated that.
I spent a little quality time with the old man.
Yeah. You know, he recently, 1911, a couple of weekends back, was his birth anniversary. And he used to tell me, first time I ever interviewed him, and he would bring it up along the way. William Smith Monroe, WSM, named it after me. Of course, we didn't come on the air till 25, but who was I to argue?
Small detail.
I thought, well, he was 14 when the station came on the air. I'll buy it, Bill. But Paul Burch, Fats Kaplin, Meridian Rising is the new novel, and it's available on your website for people to go there, wherever you get your books, paulburch.com. And then October for Cry Love, the full album. You just did the title track. And then playing at Bluebird. And just check the website for those tour dates. Thanks.
Yeah. We play once a month at Brown's Diner. We have a residency there the first Thursday of the month. Come on out.
So you're telling me you hit the big time.
Yeah.
We don't like to brag.
And we don't like to brag. No, that's right. No, it's a great way. It's a great way. You know, we've been together for so long. There's so many members of the band and stuff. It's a great way to just have a very loose kind of thing where we play things we don't know and a few things we do. So
Yeah. The best food in town.
yeah, that's right.
Paul Burch, Fats Kaplin.